Hello, my name is Ivy. Welcome to edition 82 of the Weekly Bugger, with the best news we can make up. This week is a Dumbald Drumpf special. First, let me explain the name. I have invented this name for Donald Trump. Let's start with the first name, Dumbald. The first part, Trump is dumb. I think this speaks for itself. The second part, Trump is bald. Under this weird comb-over, his hair has a very large, part of bald skin. His last name, Drumpf, is a German word I made up myself. It stands for anything, dumb, stupid, delusional and insane, collected in one word. Trump is all of that, so he is a Drumpf per definition. I have compared him with someone also with a German name. This was 3 years ago, and it has become more actual than ever. Hello, I am Ivy, and welcome to another of my videos. Normally, I stay far away from politics, especially where it comes to the current, the Donald. First of all, I still cannot grasp the idiocy that started with his election. Like it happened before, the only way he could win was because of his party introducing all kinds of laws, making it impossible for certain groups of people to vote. The same groups that most probably never would vote Republican. And to my opinion, that is a serious form of voter fraud by the Republicans. And if I remember correctly, in 2016, his opponent won the popular vote, but the Donald became president. This also happened before with the election of George W. Bush, who was in my opinion the dumbest president ever. But hey, at least he didn't know better. The Donald is a totally different case, that I often compare to another populist leader in history. And I will call him, Der German Dolph. Both of their exploits are very similar. Somehow, Der German Dolph also had a campaign, Make Germany Great Again, after it was in financial ruin since the First World War. He started blaming the Jews for all of Germany's misfortune. The Donald did the same, only for him it were the Mexicans and Latinos in general, and I am leaving out the Muslims. Der German Dolph rallied the people with the thousands in city squares where they cheered at his supremacist rhetoric. The Donald did the same, using stadiums as his arena to spread his hatred about the Latino scapegoats and his political opponents. Both, Dolph and Donald, were about the supremacy of their countrymen against the subhumans that were ruining it from inside. Where Der German Dolph started to lock up the Jews, separating children from their parents, the Donald did the same to the immigrants at the southern border. Separating parents and children, locking them in fucking cages. And most of these children and parents will never see each other again because of almost non-existing documenting by the Donald administration. I don't say this to just put the Donald down because I don't like him, it is in the history books. I mean, real-life world history books. Everyone can find this, and confirm that I am not making anything up. Let's continue. Der German Dolph created a group of loyal men around him, recognizable by their brown uniforms. They were the so-called Brown Hemden, and they did most of the dirty work, inciting riots and spreading hate. The Donald had his own. The American white supremacists, recognizable by the Confederate flag and their adoration of assault weapons. And they mostly did the same, inciting riots and make sure the opposition got the blame. The only difference with Der German Dolph and the Donald was, the Donald became the leader of his country quicker than Der German Dolph did. But the rest remained the same, the rallies, the supporters and the violence and the political lies exactly as Der German Dolph, 80 years ago. Der German Dolph started his coup by burning the Reichstag, the German political center. And he succeeded. The Donald did the same by practically ordering his followers to march on the American political center. Thank goodness the Donald did not succeed in becoming the president for life, as he learned from his little friend Kim Jong-un. Thank goodness the crowd that stormed the Capitol were the most idiotic examples of stupidity imaginable.
Elizabeth, I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee.
And why did you want to go in?
We're storming the Capitol. It's a revolution.
Well, goodness has nothing to do with it. I blame the American educational system. I wish I could say, it is all over now. But honestly, I hope the United States just escaped from a second civil war caused by the most scary president possible. The worst thing the Donald did was destroying the trust in the news media, and making people turn to social media instead. The social media made millions believe that the Democrats committed voter fraud and that, while the Republicans are the unchallenged experts in this subject, Facebook and YouTube aren't the news, and I don't want you to believe me. I want you to fact check everything I said, but use the proper means, like going to a library. But that will probably never happen. I apologize for this dark speech. It is a real shame that a 13 years old anime girl needs to point out of the facts that other people just refuse to see. Thanks for watching. I already started to make fun of Trump when he was still president. Like this item about Friday the 13th, and a really Drumpf-like idea about this Friday the 13th, and it seemed that people just needed to deal with it. But last week President Trump came with a solution, which is abolishing Friday the 13th as a whole. So from this month on, November of the year 2020, in every month with a Friday the 13th in it, will be like Thursday the 12th, followed with Friday the 14th. The skip days will be added to the month of February, even if there is already a Friday the 13th in that month. Because of this system, in the case of a special leap year, February can have 32 days. But that is not expected in this century. The president stated it is all very simple for people as intelligent as himself, so he will not expect problems when this new system becomes law. Of course, this is all parody, in our traditional style of the weekly bugger. This meant there had to come a follow-up, and that was a week later, after last week's Donald Trump's disaster decree of canceling Friday the 13th, as we have covered in last week's edition of the Weekly Bugger, link in the description. American calendar manufacturers petition President-elect Joe Biden to immediately to repeal the idiotic law created by his predecessor. With all the new 2021 calendars and agendas already in store, they face a multi-billion-dollar loss if all of these products have to be replaced. The manufacturers are not alone in this. Software producers like Microsoft, Oracle, Apple, Adobe and Autodesk joined in a class act lawsuit against the USA and Donald Trump in person, for several $1 trillion in damages. If Trump, or his successor Biden does not immediately repeal this ludicrous law, this lawsuit can possibly ruin the country. Legal experts deem the chance of this lawsuit to win at 99% because also courts, lawyers and most governmental law branches will support it. Donald Trump was unreachable for comments. And as a cherry on top, I found this last week on Shitter. Because Trump's voice makes me want to delete myself, I asked my sister Ivy to read it out loud here.
Whenever I sarcastically insert the name Obama for Biden, as an indication that others may actually be having a very big influence in running our country, Ron DeSanctimonious and his failing campaign apparatus, together with the Democrats, radical left, disinformation machine, go wild saying that Trump doesn't know the name of our president, crooked Joe Biden. He must be cognitively impaired. No, I know both names very well, never mix them up, and I know they are destroying our country. Also, and as reported, I just took a cognitive test of my physical exam and aced it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Did you think this was all I had to bring up here? I am standing here outside of the funny farm, the lunatic asylum where other institutions fail. And it happens to be, I am the warden. Believe me, I take no shit from a loser like Drumpf. It was here that Dumbald Drumpf had his test, and I can tell you this, he did not ace it as he claims. I had to do a lot of digging through the garbage to finally find his crumpled and stamped on report about Dumbald Drumpf cognitive test. And here it is. I hope you appreciate the amount of literal shit I had to dig through to bring you this, right? I hope to see you in the next edition of the Weekly Bugger.